Hey, you good? How you doing?
Sorry about the crazy hair, but I just thought I'm just gonna come to this meeting just as I am.
Well,
So
depending on how many videos we do, what it's going to be about being ourselves. We always have to feel like we're being something else for social media.
yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
do. And I just won't. This is just me.
So this is our first um video, right? Our first Zoom. And so we got like a lot that we said we wanted to talk about that people can relate to. So okay, so I'm Anna from Guided Healing Hypnosis.
Hiya, I'm Aisha, and I'm from the northwest of England.
How's your weather?
It's windy and it's wet and it's quite mild, but it's very windy and it's very wet. But that's always the same in the UK, especially
Yeah.
England.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty cold here. We've got like a blizzard going on. So we were discussed like making a video about discussing everything from mental health, from like a personal standpoint, um, relationships, friendships, boundaries. What did you mention as well?
Coping techniques, tips, how to be relatable, how to speak in simple terms that people can relate to without using any medical jargon. Not that I know any medical jargon really, but just putting things simply where other people can relate to what you're saying and to how they feel as well.
And that's one thing that's good about technology, right? Is that there's so much information now available to everyone, the information we
Yeah,
didn't have before. And it's just so nice that we can hear like everyone's perspective on things they've gone through, and then maybe they hear something that may resonate with them and may help them, right? If they're looking for help with anything from
yeah.
anxiety and any coping skills.
I think there's still a lot of stigma, mental health, and talking about it, speaking about it. I know people are still quite scared to talk about it, but now that we have social media, people that have got the courage to speak about it can. And I think people would be surprised at how many people will listen and think to themselves, do you know, I wish I could say that. Maybe that now that I've heard somebody else say it, maybe I can talk about how I feel. So that's one good thing about social media. But I do still think that there's a lot of stigma attached, and I do still believe that there needs to be a lot more conversation.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the world with mental health. What else? The people having problems also with relationships, friendships, boundaries, people trying to find themselves, trying to find their purpose. I think a lot of people also have challenges finding their purpose because there's so much comparison going on right now from watching TikTok videos. And that's another thing that's going on, this whole scrolling past 3-second videos. People are just short attention, short attention span. The videos have to be 3 seconds and they scroll. So
Yeah.
there's so much going on, right? That we're not going to fit in one video.
We're just two ordinary women talking about things that other women want to hear about, that want to be able to talk about themselves. So hopefully
Mhm.
hearing two other women's completely different perspectives. You're all the way in Canada, I'm all the way in the UK, but we still all have the same kind of problems, and different areas and different countries have different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different agencies and different ways of dealing with it. But there's still a big problem worldwide when it comes to helping people with the mental health. I think another thing with mental health is that you've got mental health is this big umbrella, and underneath it, you've got all the different kind of mental health problems. And then underneath that, you've got all the reasons and causes of why these people are dealing with mental health struggles. So it can be quite difficult to reach everyone. But like I said, mental health is this big umbrella, and underneath it, there's so many different kinds of mental health problems. And then below that, you've got all the reasons and the causes of why that person is suffering with their mental health. But people can have more than one mental health problem at a time that they're trying to deal with. And a lot of people don't seem to realize that either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people can struggle trying to find the right therapist to deal with each different mental health problem. And another thing that I've found is that, when I've had therapy, towards the end of the sessions, you'll get a diagnosis of, with me, borderline, complex PTSD and depression. But they tell you right at the end. And you think to yourself, well, now what? Now I'm just left to deal with it. So
Mhm.
for me, I think it's important to have people speak out about it so they can continue the conversations with other people that with similar problems that can relate to one another. Because if you have weeks of sessions with a therapist and they tell you right at the end what they think is going on with you, what then?
Mhm. I'm just
That's another
curious how,
problem.
yeah, I'm just curious, how are your, when you, like your experience, do you find it helpful? Your sessions, say sessions with therapists and stuff, do you find them helpful? Or are you finding that you go there, open up, and then you have to, like, basically you're going home after you've opened up, and then you're sorting things out in your own head? What's like, how is it helping? Does it help?
I mean, I can't speak for everybody else. Yeah, and I wouldn't try to because we're all different. But for me, if you've got like an hour session and the therapist is looking at the watch, time's up soon, it can take a long time for you to open up about everything that's gone on for you. It can take a long time.
Mhm.
It can take a long time to find the right therapist. And if you've got a lot of trauma, a few months, sometimes longer, isn't going to be enough to heal you, to make you feel complete. And I think a lot of therapists, by the end of the sessions, seem to think that you've magically healed, that you're magically better. And that's not always the case. And it can take a long time to find the right therapist as well. And another thing that I've found, when you get passed from one therapist to another, you have to start your whole story all over again. And it gets to the point where it just becomes exhausting and you cannot be bothered to try and have to repeat yourself all over again. So the mental health services for me are very, very flawed. For some people, they've been a godsend. I mean, I did have some sessions with a psychologist, and he was brilliant. He really was. But at the end of the sessions, and he did give me extra, I just thought, I felt as though I had to be suddenly magically better. And if
Mhm.
you've got years of trauma and years of trauma, you can't just make it go away just like that because the therapist wants it to.
Mhm. So do you find though that after the sessions, like when you're going home, like at the end of your sessions, and then you're in, I don't know, like are you in your head about what you discussed? Like do you start working things out on your own, or like what helps you after that? Like after that session, do you feel better after the session?
I mean, it's been a while now. It's been a couple of years since I've had sessions. I did build a really good professional relationship with this psychologist, and surprisingly as well, because he was a man, and I didn't think I'd be able to trust a man, but I did, and opened up to him about quite a lot of things, and he did do me a lot of good. But I did still feel that pressure of having to be healed by the end of all the sessions. And it's not that simple. It's not that easy. It really isn't.
Hmm.
But it is good to be able, because sometimes you want, because when you talk to a friend about past traumas, the friend will, rather than listen, they will judge, they will say what they think. And sometimes you don't want anyone judging whoever it is that's given you this trauma. You just want someone to listen. So with a therapist, they're there to listen. while you open up. So that is a good thing about it. But there's always that pressure of feeling as though you have to be rushed. And then at the end of the sessions, that you're supposed to be magically healed.
Hmm. I have a cousin who works with addiction, people with addictions, right? And he told me that one of the things he was trained to do as a therapist was to listen, because when patients talk, just them opening up and someone just listening and not interrupting actually is helping them process and figure things out on their own. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
heard of that, or if yeah, that's why it feels good to talk about it. It's just
yeah,
afterwards, it's like leaving the session was where I hear a lot of people say who come to me, right, for hypnosis, they'll tell me they've opened up and it felt good to open up, but then they feel like they've opened up a wound and then they're leaving and it's not, they're just left with all these traumas that they brought up, everything that they brought up from their past, right? And then sometimes just listening, you have to have someone in your life that you can just listen, who will just listen to you without interrupting, because it's just you getting everything out is good for processing and not having a judgmental person in your life. Like you were saying, it's hard to talk to friends. It's good to, it's, well, unless you have a good friend who's just going to listen, right? Listen and let
yeah,
you go on. Just go on to, for as long as you have to. Because the other thing is when we talk to friends, when we get advice from them, we're getting their life experience advice, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, and then you're having, we're dealing with our stuff, and then plus whatever our friends' ideas and solutions thrown at us, which aren't necessarily the right ones, because who knows what they have been through in their past and why they came up with their solutions for their life. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
But
And
but that's why I was
when
saying,
you,
like when you
sorry, go on.
no, and so when you finish the session, what I was getting at before, what I was asking is, does it feel better after you have gone in and talked to someone? Like, how do you feel? How do you feel when you go home? I remember what I felt like. I'll tell you later, but I just wanted your experience. After leaving a session, do you feel better, or do you go home with open wounds now that you just revisited and had to tell your story again to someone, to a therapist, and your hour's up and you have to go home?
I think me, I don't know, therapists, they have other people to see and they have to stick to this schedule, but sometimes it can take a while to build up to what it is you want to talk about. So by the time you get to talking about what's painful, the session can sometimes nearly be up. So especially when you've had therapy before and you've had to start repeating yourself all over again, it does get to the point sometimes where you think to yourself, is this actually doing me any good? Is this actually helping? What's the point? I still feel like hell. I still feel the way I do. But I think all I can say really is it depends on the therapist and how good the relationship with the therapist is. But there's still that case of that. I think there's no consistency, is what I'm trying to say. You could
Hmm.
have a load of sessions with someone a year or two down the line, something happens that puts you right back there again. And then you have to see a different therapist, and then you have to go through it all over again. So I think it depends how you feel after a session. I think it depends what's going on for you at the time and how you're feeling at the time. Sometimes you can leave a session and think, I'm really glad I spoke about that. Then other times you think to yourself, God, this is exhausting repeating myself.
Hmm. Yeah. And it can get exhausting because you remember when I first told you about my my issues with panic attacks and anxieties for over 20 years. Right? Therapy didn't help me. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying there are people that therapy is great for. If you're going to therapy, go ahead and continue with that. For me, that didn't help. Like medication didn't help. I've made videos about this. Nothing helped me. I was afraid to take medication because when you have anxiety and panic attacks, you start getting health anxiety. You start worrying about, oh my gosh, is like this medication going to do this to me? So I was just afraid to even take vitamins.
Yeah,
But none of that. And sometimes I used to come out of sessions feeling worse because I would open up and then I'd have to go home and deal with my thoughts, everything I just talked about. Um,
yeah,
so I'm wondering if it's more maybe that people should be looking for like a solution-based therapy where they have, sure. So this, say it's a psychotherapist, psychiatrist listens to you, but they have some sort of technique or something they do in their office to help alleviate, because surely just talking about it sometimes sure makes you feel like you've gotten things off your chest, but then what? Then we're wondering
yeah,
now what? And that's what would be with me, like now what? Like what do I do now that I talk to you? Like I'm still leaving your office, my heart's pounding. I just told you my whole like life story from childhood. Um, and then you're right, and then there are triggers that happen, you could feel better, let's say, and then something may happen 3 months down the line because you really didn't heal. You felt better, let's say, you didn't really heal, and then all of a sudden you've got a trigger, something that triggered you, and then I would go back into this loop of panic attack and anxiety just when I thought, oh, okay, something happened in that therapy. But it just felt to me like it was just being all swept under the rug. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and then it would resurface again.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I can say as well is that till fairly recently, really, I mean, I remember people saying, oh, I feel a bit fed up sometimes. Sometimes I feel down, but I'd never take medication for it. So there's been that stigma around taking medication as well. And I think if you need medication and it makes you feel better, then take it. If you need therapy, then have therapy. If you need both, then do it. Whatever makes you feel better.
Hmm.
On the other hand of that, when you see various therapists, you will get different therapists trying to give you a different diet. One therapist will give you one diagnosis, and then another one will say, "Oh no, I think it's such and such a thing," and then you'll see somebody else, and they'll say, "No, you haven't got that. I think you're this, and this instead." So I do wonder sometimes, getting to your point before, if there is an alternative solution. Like I said, I'm not knocking it as well either. I do believe that therapy medications do work for some people, but there's a lot of people out there that still feel really empty after their therapy sessions, and after the therapy sessions are over with, to the point where you just think, I can't do this anymore. I can't keep raking up everything that's happened to me. So I've often sat and thought to myself, what do I do? How do I make this go away? How do I make this pain in my head go away that nobody else can see? How do I cope? How do I get through each hour without feeling like I'm not going to make it sometimes? And I sometimes
Hmm.
think that the best therapy you can get is by talking to other people, um, who have had similar thoughts, because not everyone's the same. So I'll say similar thoughts and feelings that you've had yourself. Somebody that can empathize with you, because just because somebody's a therapist, it doesn't mean to say that they've been through anything like what you've been through. But sometimes the best healing you can have and the best understanding is from other people that aren't qualified. And again, I am not trying to knock anybody at all, but sometimes people feel more comfortable speaking to people they can relate to, that can empathize with them and understand where they're coming from.
And do you find that do you watch like YouTube videos or and stuff like that? Do they find they help you when you watch like other people's YouTube videos of what they're going through?
I haven't really come across many other people, any other channels that have had honest face to face conversations that are real, that are relatable to a wider range of people.
Yeah. From, again, not a medical um standpoint, but from a personal perspective, to openly talk about things. And you know what? You had some really good videos you made. You had some really good content that like was so raw, and honest. And it's good to see hit things online that you can relate to. And I know when I was looking for help with my stuff, with the panic attacks and anxiety, I would find a lot of tips and techniques, and pretty much all of them would be the same, worded differently. Um, they kind of helped. It was like a band-aid, temporary help, but it would all come back again. Um, and by all means, like you said, whoever's watching, we're not knocking therapy at all. Like, I'm sure there's psychiatrists, psychotherapists, they've got a full load of of patients to see, because mental health is like what is it, like a pandemic right now, right? It's a
Yeah,
lot of people
yeah,
are
it is.
suffering from mental health, and I'm sure they've got a revolving door of patients coming in, and by all means continue to see a therapist. I'm going to keep saying that throughout this, because we're not knocking it. We're just doing this to talk about like a personal standpoint, again, what we've done to help. Um, we'll get into mine later, but obviously my path was through hypnosis, and that was my therapy because nothing else worked. I did my first hypnosis session, which I made a video about. Her name was Debbie Papadakis at Hypno Healing Institute. She In hypnosis, she did bring me back to my past, but she didn't do it like, because I had, I guess, a lot to deal with, right? So I had like 6 sessions with her, and she didn't do it all in one session, so I wouldn't leave my first session feeling bad. So we
Yeah,
would do, I guess, one at a time. And I remember each session, because everyone thinks that hypnosis, you're asleep and someone's going to steal your bank account number and whatever. It's not like you will remember, although you're very deeply relaxed. And I remember her dealing with things in chunks with me. And every time, even after my first session, even though I wasn't completely healed of the panic attacks, I felt a huge difference. And because she closed off that one chapter of one of the things that was contributing to my panic attacks, I wasn't felt like I was feeling when I used to go to therapy before, where I would come home and have my mind racing about all these things I just talked about.
yeah,
So it was a
yeah,
different form of therapy that worked for me. Hey, and you know what? 6 sessions and 20 years of panic attacks gone.
yeah, yeah. Whatever way makes you feel better, whatever works for you. I mean,
Mhm.
I think for some people, and not all people, but if we're being realistic, the mental health will always be a problem for some people. It always will. So it's finding ways to deal with it, to make things a bit easier for yourself, to cope with what you're having to go through on a daily basis, and not to be ashamed of it either. Because for me, I've had a lot of difficulty holding down relationships, friendships, and sometimes, if I'm being honest, and I know people will understand this, sometimes friendships, relationships can feel like a chore, they can feel like hard work. And when you try to say that to people, some people will get all uppity or offended, but you're just trying to say how you feel. You don't want to feel like that. You don't want to be alone. You want to have friends, but it's really hard, and you can't even explain why.
Mhm.
So it's important to give yourself things to look forward to, even if it's little things, you know. Buy yourself a candle and light it. If you like the smell of something, then buy it, spray it, light it, and smell it. Sing your favorite songs loudly in the bath, or just sing them loudly anyway. Go for a walk where there's lots of trees and pretty things to look at. And whatever works for you, give yourself a little trip away. If you can't afford that, give yourself, I don't know, a trip on a train somewhere cheap and cheerful where you know you'll enjoy yourself. Anything to keep your mind busy and keep your mind off the way you're feeling. It's not going to work all the time, but at least you're giving yourself things to look forward to and it keeps you going. And that's what people need to do. And it can be the littlest things. Some things that other people would find boring, other people would really enjoy, would really love. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If it makes you feel better and it makes you happy and it makes you smile, then do it. And these things that you do to make yourself feel better don't have to be expensive.
Hmm. You know, a lot of these things you're saying, actually, I think we talked about this before on the phone, was it actually settles down your nervous system. Like putting on music, singing, dancing. Have you ever like felt like total shit, you know, and you put some music on, your favorite song comes on and you start dancing?
Mm,
Um, it settles down the nervous system. So that's why all that stuff helps.
yeah,
Going
yeah,
out for walks and the music, if you've got a favorite song like that pumps you up, that really does help. There's scientific studies that prove that does help with settling down your nervous system. And if you do it on a continuous basis, your nervous system starts feeling safe again. Um,
yeah.
it's continuous things that make you feel good, um, will help. If you do it on a daily basis, will help. It's proven will help your nervous system heal because your nervous system
Yeah.
needs to feel safe. And those all everything you just mentioned there, helps.
Yeah, and I think another thing that people can fall into, a trap they can fall into, is you can hear a song and you love the song, but it makes you feel sad. And for
Well,
some
this is why you should
reason,
have a playlist though of things that make you feel good.
yeah, I mean, for some reason, I mean, I love the song Unchained Melody. It's a beautiful
Hmm.
song. The live version of that is a beautiful song, but it makes me want to cry. It makes me feel sad. And when I was at my worst, I would continuously listen to that. And it got to the point where I thought to myself, why am I listening to that? It makes me cry all the time. So why am I listening to it? It's like, I know it sounds weird, but it's like the feeling of feeling like that. It can become addictive in some weird way. It's almost like you're
Hmm.
punishing yourself by doing that to yourself. So instead of playing that song that you actually really like but makes you feel sad, play a song that makes you sing your head off, makes you sing loudly, makes you annoy the neighbors because you're singing so loudly, and enjoy it. I mean, another thing that I like to do when I'm feeling really bad at my worst is I will play clips of my favorite comedians, even if I've seen the clips numerous times and I know they make me laugh. I will sit and I'll watch the clips of my favorite comedians on YouTube because I know it'll make me laugh. So that's
Yeah,
another thing that I like to do.
but you mentioned about how listening to that song that would make you cry. That there is the in order to feel safe, right? You know this, the nervous system needs to feel something familiar.
Familiar.
And
Yeah.
even if it's something that's hurting you, doesn't matter. That your nervous system feels familiar with it, and that's what it wants. And even if it doesn't feel good.
I still love
Yeah.
that song. It's a beautiful song, but now, and I'll run myself a hot bath and I'll put bubbles in it and I will, even if it's just two or three, there's like two or three songs that I will play all the time and I will sing to them really loudly. And that makes me feel better. And it's little things like that that can really help in making you feel better. You know, and like back to social media when we were talking about before, a lot of people spend too much time on social media. They go onto Facebook and everybody else's life seems so much better than yours. So you start thinking that everybody else is getting on in life so much better than you are, not realizing that other people are living a lie, or they've also got their difficulties. So that's another trap that is easy to fall into, is thinking that everybody else's lives is much better than yours, because that's not the
Hmm.
case. And you eventually start
Comparison.
to
Yeah.
realize these things. You do start to realize these things. And I think spending less time on social media is another positive step into making yourself feel better.
Yeah, the comparison thing is a really big thing right now. This is what is affecting a lot of people negatively, like what you just mentioned. You're watching
Yeah,
other people's lives, but you don't know what's going on. For instance, there was a couple making TikTok videos, and they were very well liked, and they had a lot of followers. They seemed very happy. There was a video posting her final video saying that it was over and that it was an abusive relationship.
yeah,
So this was just, a couple of weeks after their final video together, like as a perfectly happy couple. And
yeah,
um and people watch this stuff and they say, well, why don't I have a relationship like that? Why aren't I singing in the kitchen with my husband and dancing? And it's all about comparison right now. Everyone is doing what they're doing in life because of a reason, right? There's a reason why
yeah,
we are who we are. And a lot of who we are is based on how we were raised. Like 95% of us is subconscious programming. How we move around in our day, 95% is from our subconscious. And a lot of that is from how we were raised. Because when we were kids, we were sponges, absorbing everything. That made us who we are today.
yeah,
So a lot of these videos we see, I don't want to knock anyone because everyone's here to fulfill their purpose. But it's us on the other end when we're watching this stuff, even men watching other women, of what their ideal woman, photoshopped woman looks like. And then
yeah,
they'll look at their wives. There was a lawyer I follow on here. Um, he's, he's amazing. Sexton. I think it's Peter Sexton. And he talks about how, their men are looking at YouTube or TikTok, and then they'll turn around and look at their wife and say, well, she doesn't look like that. Comparing their wives to women that they're seeing on social media. And it's all comparison right now. This comparison is not helping anybody. That's what's making this a lot worse, making mental health worse too.
yeah, it is. Because I mean, um, I know with my own daughter, she spends time looking on Facebook, and she seems to think that everybody else's life is so much better. And a lot of people do think that. I mean, so I've caught myself thinking, God, those people seem to have everything. They seem to have it all. And then yeah, and then the next thing their fella is inboxing you, or they've split up, or something's happened, or they're dealing with some traumas of their own. So nobody's got the perfect life. We're all going to have to deal with some kind of trauma at some time. But there are some people that I know that have never felt depressed, and to me, it's so hard to imagine that that's possible, because for me, it's all I've ever known is anxiety and depression, and it makes you feel ashamed, it makes you feel embarrassed. People think that you want to feel like that. People think that if you're suicidal, then you must want to die. And none of that's true. You just want to know what it feels like not to feel so awful. You just want to know what it feels like to smile and actually mean it. That's all. That's all a lot of us wish for, really, to be honest with you. So spending too much time on social media and comparing your life to others, comparing theirs to yours, a lot of it is just a facade, and it just doesn't
Mhm.
do you any good.
So there are some good things, amazing things about technology, right? We've got where we can listen and to self-help and other people's perspectives and techniques. And then it's like everything in life, there's a good and bad. And then we've got, the comparison aspects or the things that aren't untrue on the internet. And I see it like everything in life. There's good and bad to everything. And in the end, I don't know, I guess we need to make a decision of what we're watching, right? What we're consuming. If you truly want to heal, for me, this is what I think. When I wanted to do getting over this anxiety and panic attack that I had, my main thing was I was trying to absorb as much information as I could about what I was going through and how to heal. I wasn't watching TikTok and Instagram for anything else, but
Yeah.
because I couldn't even enjoy watching anything else. I would just wanted to find something that was going to help me because life just shrunk. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't drive. Couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, for a lot of people, eventually, I would say never give up hope
If you
because,
keep
I
looking,
mean,
you'll find something.
I do believe that just don't give up. Just don't ever give up on feeling happy or because you owe it to yourself to get better. You owe it to yourself to allow yourself to laugh and smile and mean it and feel happy when you do it. Because sometimes when you feel really, really bad, you feel as though you have to keep on going for other people and you
Hmm.
deserve to keep going for yourself. That's what you
Hmm.
should be doing. Too many people think about, oh, and mental health does affect those around you. It can be difficult to live with someone with really bad mental health, but you also owe it to yourself to be happy, to find happiness. What the solution is, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but I do honestly believe that things like this, talking, real talk, raw talk with ordinary women like ourselves is relatable and would be helpful to a lot of people.
Sure. Well, hopefully we can, I mean, this was our first video. We haven't even, there's so much to talk about, isn't there?
Just scratching the
So
surface, aren't we?
we're digging like a hole and we're only in an inch right now. We've got 100 feet to go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we have,
Well,
we have, and
yeah,
it's gone so fast the time as well.
I know, I know. So, okay, so you know what? I don't do you want to talk about anything else, or should we come back and do another video and
I think
in the
that's
next week
probably
or
best.
so?
I
Yeah.
think that's probably because we could go on and on and on about so many different topics, so many different things. We could just go on and on and on and on.
One topic will take us to the next. But in the meantime, for anyone who's watching and to just if they leave with something today, like you had mentioned, make yourself feel do something to make yourself feel good. Put on some music. For me, my favorite song, have you ever heard of that song Trust Fall by Pink?
Who by Pink?
Yeah, it's called Trust Fall.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Oh my Trust Fall song is so motivational. It's a really cool song. It's by Pink. It's called Trust Fall. Listen to it. It's amazing.
Tell you one of my
So,
favorite songs that always gets me dancing, always gets me singing. Dancing Queen, ABBA. I love that.
oh yeah,
Love it.
I did. I was doing a 30-day challenge. One of the things in my 30-day challenge that I posted was to put like waking up in the morning to a playlist of songs, just so we don't have that dreadful every day, like, oh, here's another day. Um, Something that's just is uplifting. I'm telling you this, if you do that every day, it does help. You will feel the
Yeah,
difference. I've been
yeah.
listening every night before going to bed. I've been listening to one of these change your life hypnosis things. It's actually mine, but anyways, I've been listening to it. Do you know that it's been 2 weeks in and I don't know, I just wake up feeling happier, like
Good.
just happier, if I
Yeah,
could say that.
good.
So if you find something online that resonates with you on YouTube or whatever, marinate while you're sleeping. Listen to it while you're falling asleep and let it play
Yeah,
because your subconscious mind is listening while you're sleeping. And you
yeah,
may not feel the effects like, as soon as you wake up in the morning, but over time, within a week or so, you will notice a difference because your subconscious is listening. So try to find something online like a meditation about feeling good or about life, uh, life reality shifting, whatever's out there that that people relate to, right?
yeah, yeah, it does. I agree.
So I think we did so great, didn't we? Okay, so I love our chats and I guess we'll be back maybe in a few days or a week. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, whenever, whenever. I'm
Okay.
happy
Okay.
to talk about mental health. I'm not shy about talking about it. I've opened up about it lots of times before. So yeah, I'm quite happy to.
Health, friendships, relationships, all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, there's all kinds.
Oh yeah. All
Okie
right.
dokie then.
Okay.
Okay. So I
So
shall say
we'll
good
talk.
night.
Yes. Okay. And we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Mwah.
You're
Okay.
welcome. Night night.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.